human. At some point, you guys, as much as I love you and as much as I would lay on the tracks for every single one of you, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to screw something up. I'm going to forget, not because I don't love you, but because I'm human. Okay? All right? I make Allison cry almost every week. Usually it's from deep thoughts, but it's usually deep thoughts and hard questions.
But I get her back with like 10 boxers.
She really does. It's like, so you guys, disappointment, my dear ones, is also the only path to what you want. The only path forward, the only path upward, if you don't want to simply exist, is to face disappointment. And it's not about protecting yourself. As I said in that speech I gave at a career conference, the goal of life is not to protect yourself from disappointment. The goal of life is to learn how to put yourself out there and learn to help in a healthy way cope with and metabolize disappointment. Because can you be successful in Mary Kay or any job that you own without putting yourself out there?
No.
No. If you want to move onward or upward or outward, you're gonna have to put yourself out there, and that is in and of itself a risk of disappointment. Does that make sense, my friends? So with that being said, when you try enough, you're gonna have disappointments. Not because you're doing anything wrong. A lot of people think that disappointment means it's a sign. I'm going in the wrong direction. It's a sign. I'm not supposed to do this. It's hard. I must not be meant for this. No! That is absolutely not what it means. It means that you don't have the skill yet. You don't understand how it works yet. It's not the right person yet. It doesn't mean you're going anywhere wrong. Does that make sense? What if, let's apply this to something so that we can see how ridiculous the notion is. My son Samuel is 16 years old. He has ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and dysgraphia. He has a very complicated little brain. What if I said, God, raising him is hard. It's really expensive too. Must be the wrong kid for me. Like, can you imagine just being like, Sam, I'm sorry. We're going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But don't we do that with things? Don't we do that? Like, oh, this is really hard. It must mean it's not for me. No, it just means you don't know how to do it yet. Or that's a skill you don't own yet. Or there's a support you need. So instead of looking at it as a, this must not be right, what are some smarter questions that we can ask ourselves?
When did this start feeling this way, or what happened?
What has happened that has me feeling this way? Well, I got disappointed because they ghosted me. Okay, so my expectation there.
Right.
You were able to identify it because you asked yourself a smart question. What support do I need? I probably need to call Grace just so I can vent about it so that it's off my chest and I can start to metabolize it.
Asking for help.
Asking for help! Yes! But it's so critical. Who do I ask? Because I could call my grandma. Well, she's not here anymore, but I used to be able to call her, and I would say to her, Gran, I had a horrible day at work. And every single time she would say, without fail, baby, I don't know why you work. Your husband has a good job. Just let him take care of you. And here's the thing, who is the real idiot? Me! Because I asked her, my wonderful, sweet, precious grandmother, who has never had a job, who can't even drive a car, refused to get her license because she likes being driven better. Why am I asking her about running a company, running a business? If it was about parenting, yes. She raised great, well, my mom didn't turn out so good, but you know what I mean. Like, she raised my brother and I, we turned out. My Uncle Jimmy, okay? But you guys, why am I asking somebody who doesn't know where I'm going? Why am I talking to someone who's never been where I've been? You have to ask people who are where you want to be or higher. Does that make sense? If your friends are broke, why are you talking to them about money? If your friends are in dead-ass relationships, why are you taking relationship advice from them? Right? We've got to think about who we call. But we absolutely need help because every single one of you in here is a smart chick. If you knew how to fix it, you already would have. Right? Right? Okay. So the only way to find out where we're meant to go and what we're meant to know, and sometimes to know who isn't meant to go with us, is to put ourselves out there. And that's where disappointment finds us, because we have put ourselves out there. So my question is, when you think about your disappointments from this week, very few of you mentioned your business. And my guess is it had less to do with the fact that other things were taking priority and more to do with the fact that you're probably not putting yourself out there in your business as much because you're still trying to protect yourself there. Does that feel true to you guys? Yes? No? Maybe for some of us? Okay. Wherever you are afraid, wherever you are holding back, wherever you are protecting, I'm always going to point you right at it. Is it because I want to use you as a human shield? Does I force you towards it? No. Why do I push you towards that?
Show us we can do it.
To show you that you can do it. Why else? There's an even bigger one.
Because it's better on the other side when you look at it.
It is better on the other side. And it is absolutely and unequivocally the fastest way to create true change in your life. Because what you are running from, there's a reason you're running from it. There's a reason that you're not over here, not going to look over there. Okay, there's a reason you're doing it. It's because you're afraid. And when you conquer that, it's not just about what's on the other side. It's about you changing as a human and not being afraid anymore. And when you look at that and you conquer that, this stuff over here that maybe has also kind of been on fire, you're just going to wholesale wipe that out because of who you become on the other side of it. True or false? Okay. So you guys, I had an epiphany this week, okay? And sometimes my epiphanies are so awesome because they're so incredibly simple. Okay, like really, Grace, that's your deep thought. But when you realize it, it's nothing that I didn't know, but I know it at a deeper level. Does that make sense? Like, have you ever known something like either you look at your husband and you're like, thank God I married him, or thank God I got rid of him, or, like you know it at a deeper level, right? Like you know it, or maybe you need to get rid of it. I don't know. I'm not going to go there. I'm not that kind of counselor. But anyway, I had an epiphany this week, and I was talking with my coach, and I said something, and I was like, pause. And he's like, what? And I said, pause. Don't talk anymore. And I just let myself feel it for a minute, and I was like, there it is. Like, that's what it is. I always imagined this place that I'm at now. Like walking through my home that day, I was like, I live in a beautiful home. This is the kind of house when I was a kid and we had rats, like literal rats in our house, and like bugs and no heat and that like this is the kind of house. Not because it, bless you, sweet pea, not because it's fancy, but because it's safe and warm and loving. Does that make sense? I imagined this and I have built it, right? And as I was walking, like just the way I felt in my body, like confident, I was like, this is the me I knew I could become. It has not always been easy and it has not been fast, okay? And so as I was walking, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had this realization, the business. Like, it's at this point where I'm like, holy crap, we're like doing this. Like, we still got a ways to go, but like, we're here, we're doing this, right? And all of a sudden, corporate's calling, and I have nationals messaging me, and I'm like, okay. And I'm going to Green Bay to train directors, and I'm like, okay. But I'm like, I got this. I'm ready for this. Not all the way, but enough, like, I'm going forward. I'm pointing myself in the direction of, like, you guys, I don't want you to ever think that it's because I don't have my own gremlins. Okay? Like, there's a part of me that's like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Okay? Which, P.S., are your gremlins ever your voice?
No.
No. You're usually the voice of somebody else that put it there in the first place. But I'm pointing myself in the direction of what I'm afraid of, and I'm going guns a-blazing into it, okay? My son John Marshall, I have a record player, and I have all my dad's records. My dad wasn't a super great guy, but he had a great taste in music, and he had records, and he was going to throw them out, and I took them. And I had Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet album, and John started playing that song from Young Guns. Do you guys remember that? Where it's Blaze of Glory. He's like, Mom, you're going to go over the cliff, and you're either going to fly, or you're going to crash spectacularly, but we're going over. And I was like, there you go, buddy, there you go. And you guys, like, we're doing it. So I was like thinking about it, and this is what I figured out. Okay? I realized that in my head, when I was at this point of confidence, this point in the business, this point in my life, I thought it would be because I had perfected it. That it was perfect. That I was perfect. That everything in my life would be perfect. That it would be smooth and easy. And that my life would feel perfect. And that there would be an absence of issue. And that was what it was actually going to take to get to this level. And yet here we are. I can't even remember. I've lost count. 4th or 5th consecutive record-breaking year. After 3 in a pandemic, okay? All right? Nothing about my business or my life has been perfect. Nothing about my life or my business has been easy. I started right after 9/11, okay? I became a sales director in my first Cadillac in the Great Recession. We are going to do our trip on the tail end of the pandemic. It's not because it's perfect, you guys. It's not an absence of issue. It's not an absence of problems. It's not an absence of fear. It's just a willingness to look at them and be better for them. Does that make sense? Imagine if those people who are not taking personal responsibility all tomorrow came to you and said, Shelly, I realize I'm doing this the wrong way. I'm going to look at this, and this is the change I'm making. Forget what it would even mean for Shelly. Think about their lives. Okay? At the end of the day, we have to point ourselves towards that because, you guys, it hasn't happened because it was easy or perfect. I was talking to Tanya last night. She manages a medical practice. It's the job she always wanted. Was it always easy?
No.
Is it easy now?
No.
Was it perfect?
No.
But she's still here because she kept going. It's not because she had it all figured out. I bet you there are days today, even now, when she walks into that practice and she's like, I don't really know what I'm doing here with this situation, right? Or like Shelly walks into work, I don't really know what to do here with this situation. You guys, it's not that we have it all figured out, okay? But we've got to stop trying to protect ourselves. So I want you to think about your business right now. What is the thing that you single-handedly need to stop protecting yourself from that would actually change everything? What is the thing that you could look at and take action towards that would make all the difference for your business and your life? What is it? Does anybody know?
Say that again.
What is the thing that you need to look at in your life or in your business? Let's use your business. That would change everything if you just did it or looked at it. Yeah.
I just need to get out there. I'm too busy trying to organize and be organized with my, my leads and that before I even reach out to them. I can't reach out to them because I don't have them written on a piece of paper. I have them here and there, so.
So the organization, she's saying you guys, the truth is the organization saves her from what? Actually doing the work. And it's not the work that scares you, it's the disappointment. Hearing no. It's the rejection, right? And so here's the thing. Is protecting yourself going to get you where you want to go? And is hearing no actually going to kill you?
No.
No. And you can't, and here's the thing. You guys, think about this. If you don't ask, they're all no. Right? So it's not even a logical thing. The problem is 90% of the decisions we make on a daily basis you are making from associations you created between the ages of 3 and 11. So it's not actually Lori as the adult woman saying, I'm not, I just need to get more organized. It's a kid inside of her saying, if I hear no, it'll hurt my feelings and I won't be able to handle it. So like, when you get up every morning, the first thing I say to myself before my foot hits the ground is, adult Grace, up for the day. Bitch is loose. Okay? Because I just have to remind myself, it's me showing up to my life. I'm an adult woman. I'm running this. I'm driving the bus. Not the kid that is in me that's scared of stuff. Okay? Does that make sense? Who else? Who else knows what they need to point themselves at? Brandy.
Failure.
Failure. Because?
Because I failed many times.
Because you feel like you failed many times. The truth is, you only failed if you didn't learn. What will you do differently going forward?
Oh, everything.
Like?
Just the way that I believe in myself, and the last time I was in this, I became a director, and I had a girl on my team that, like, she was a rock star. Like, she was just, like, blazing. And I was like, okay, this is nice. And then all of a sudden, she just blazed right on out. I became a senior sales director, but then it just kind of, because I was holding on to her coattails, I just kind of went,
So will you do it differently?
yeah,
So was it a failure?
no.
Because you learned.
Yeah.
Now, is it 40-year-old Brandy saying, I did learn. I don't need to be afraid of that anymore. I'm going forward anyway. Or is it the kid saying, that hurt, I was embarrassed, what did people think? Who gives a rip? Do any of them pay your bills?
No.
So you're gonna come to work as Brandy the adult or Brandy the kid?
It's all.
Because think about it, 3 to 11 years old. How many of you have children in this room? Okay? And you have a dog. Okay? Would
You can take one of
Stella
mine.
drive your car? No! She couldn't even go to the bathroom on time this morning. Okay? Would you let a 3-year-old operate a machine gun? No! Would you let me operate a machine gun? No, but you know what I mean? Like, would you let Wiley operate heavy machinery? No. So why are we letting the kid inside of us drive our life? You guys, that is where the fear of disappointment comes from. My very best friend in the whole world, one of them, her name's Danelle, and she and her husband adopted 2 girls through the foster care system. And one of the things they taught her in foster care preparedness class was that you have to save these children from disappointment because they've already had so much of it. And I kept my mouth shut because, you know, this is their journey. But the girls have been theirs officially. They adopted them 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I said to her the other day, I said, I have a thought for you. And she said, what's that? And I said, what do you think it's going to mean for your girls if they never learn how to be disappointed? She stopped and thought about that for a minute. She's like, they're not going to have much of a life. I said, I think the key is in teaching them that they're stronger than any disappointment. So, who else? Who else? This is important, you guys. What do you need to point yourself at?
I need to stop over analyzing things and just go do it. A lot comes with like talking about like the business and things. When I came back from career conference, I contacted a ton of people, but they were easy contacts where in regards to I knew they were probably going to say no or it wasn't the right thing. Like I felt like I already knew the answer, and instead of just sharing it, like I have probably 10 people on my mind right now that I need to reach out to, and it's not me. I believe it's God saying, hey, you need to reach out to these guys for one reason or another, whether they do the business or not. But then I get in my own head.
Because you're scared.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you guys, I think one of the biggest reasons, especially in the Midwest, Midwesterners are gossip-loving people.
Oh, amen.
And we are taught from the earliest time, if you're not a gossiper, I don't want to be talked about. I loathe it. There's even a part of me now it's hard for me to know that they're talking about me at the inner circle thing, which is a good thing. It's still hard, right? Like, because we worry. Because a lot of times in small towns, it ain't good. They're not saying that stuff. Okay, and it's not even that you did anything wrong. A lot of times it's that you're too successful, too pretty, too this, too that. Then you're not enough. Don't, like, I mean, you can't win, you guys. You can't win. So we have to get okay with it. And here's the thing, you guys. Again, it's not that I always know how it's going to go. I don't operate every second of every day, every breath at a level 10 confidence. I just do it anyway. I just do it anyway. And do you know why? It's because I know we're doing this. I know we are building this. I know we are meant for this. Do I have it mapped out? Do I have a crystal ball? No. I just know that we believe enough in progress and the process. You guys, I know for a fact that every single one of you in this room is better because you've been in this organization. Every single one of you. Start with the inside. How are you different than when you started this?
I wouldn't cry thinking about it. Because I was broken. Well, and I shouldn't say broken, but I was not me. Like, there was me in there that couldn't get out because of all the fears and everything else and just life in general, because I didn't feel I had options. Or that if I did, I would fail. And I didn't understand that it was growing. It's not failure. It's learning.
It's learning.
Yeah.
It's learning. And it almost like freezes you to a place of like not ever putting yourself out because you're just so scared to fail because of what people will say.
Like,
right?
I feel like I could physically throw up, not like knowing 2 years, like how much deeper I would have been down.
The boundaries, right?
Yeah.
The boundaries that you have. Fantastic. What else? How are you different from when you started this 17 years ago? We traded up husbands.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Oh, no, you guys don't even know. I know. I know. How? How are you different?
Oh. I don't even know. I can't even, there's such a long list.
Start with the girls.
Oh. Well, through the journey of being a single parent, it helped them grow, and I had a lot of guilt, but I had a lot of guilt for leaving their dad, but I also had to show them that you shouldn't be treated the way that I was treated, and men should be faithful. And now as they're older, especially my oldest, she said, "Mom, I know why you had to leave." And I mean, I've told her what happened, and she's like, "It's better." And she said, "And then we wouldn't have met Randy if it had left their dad."
And he's more of a dad than Izzy will ever be.
Yeah.
I mean, really think about that, Brandy. You did all of that because you were brave. Was it perfect? Did you get it all right? Are they still better?
Yeah.
Are you still better?
Yeah.
Then tell me again why we're protecting ourselves.
I don't know.
How are you better, you guys? What's different about you?
I'm more confident,
Go with that.
and I know, like, what I want, especially in my Mary Kay. I know where I want to be. My own head sometimes just gets in the way. You know, I still know I put people first, and I still put people first, and I'm trying to not do that because that's not going to get me anywhere. Because even, like, I haven't put my things out yet, my fish bowls. I've got them in the car, though.
Good.
Because when I leave here, on the way back home, I'm going to stop and put them out. Because I don't, like, during the week, I get off work, and I go home, because I'm like, oh, the kids, damn kids. I love being away from God. But I want to be home with them, too, because I know they miss me. But it's like, dude, you've seen me enough. Like, you will be fine without me.
The truth is that sometimes, in order to be the best parent, you've got to be away. Because it's better for you, like your mental health, but also, too, one of our jobs as a parent is to provide.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, do you think when my daughter calls and says, Mom, I could really use money. And I put a check in there. She's like, damn her. Out holding another party. No, she doesn't care. Okay, she doesn't care. Okay, she's just so grateful. She said to me the other day she went in for an interview. The kid has more guts. I'm like, wow. And then I say, where did she get that? And then I'm like, dirt. Okay, like, of course. And she said, so they had this speaking competition on campus, and her professor said, anybody who's brave enough, because she's in a speech class, said anybody who's brave enough to go in and speak at that doesn't have to take, or doesn't have to do the final project of the semester. She was like, okay. And John was listening to me tell this, and he's my youngest, and he's like, I would have done it. I don't care if I suck, because I'm just not gonna have to do the project. I'm like, way to be awesome, buddy. Way to be awesome. And then the guy said not very many people were signing up, so the professor said, and if you get selected, they're gonna select 5. Or three or 5, I can't remember. And if you get selected, you don't have to take the final either. She called me. I said, hey, how'd it go today? She goes, I did it. And I said, that's awesome, Dee. No final project. She's like, no, I got selected too. No final either. I was like, no way! She's like, yeah. She's like, you want to know how I did it? I said, how'd you do it? She's like, I pretended like I was you. And I owned the place. And I was like, oh my God! You guys, like, don't question what you're doing. Don't question what you're doing.